Radio and Akfijunuba, Sudan.
This is a message of peace. We all are South Sudanese. It does not matter where anyone comes from. We need to respect each other and support each other because we are one. We all are human beings. As South Sudanese, we deserve to coexist peacefully, tolerate one another, reconcile all our differences, and live peacefully. This is a message of tolerance and peaceful coexistence brought to you by iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
Welcome to the Sundown Show. On this show, we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. We stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. The Sundown. For the news, views, opinion, debates, and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama James. Today is Tuesday, 19th of August 2025. This program comes to you Monday to Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for comprehensive look at the daily events, the latest information, in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and exciting surprises. To be part of the show, call us on 0911-022-986-986 and send for us a text message on 0913-986-986. If you can't access the radio, we are also on Facebook, X to YouTube, and more. You can also stream this broadcast live by logging to that's our website at www.iradio.org. Coming up right here. During the first hour, we shall discuss about a statement issued by diplomats at the UN Security Council concerning South Sudan revitalized transitional government of national unity, where the acting U.S. representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Dorothy Shear, strongly criticized South Sudan leaders for failure to unify the armed forces, misuse of public funds, and suppression of that civic freedom, and ongoing violence used to also used to maintain power. Ambassador Shear made this remark while speaking to that UN Security Council at UN Security Council that's on Monday.
It is deeply disappointing that the transitional government of South Sudan has yet to deliver the peace and stability the people of South Sudan deserve. Despite significant international efforts to support South Sudan's post-conflict recovery, stabilization, and reconstruction, South Sudan's leaders have failed to demonstrate the political will to meet their commitments under that agreement, including those related to integrating the armed forces, using public revenue transparently and appropriately, creating civic space, and renouncing violence as a tool for political competition. South Sudan's leaders from all parties share responsibility for these failures. Most recently, the actions of South Sudanese leadership have signaled de facto abandonment of the 2018 peace agreement on which the transitional government is based. We cannot pretend that the agreement is being implemented while First Vice President Machar is under house arrest, Others from his party are in detention, and SSPDF military strikes continue against other South Sudanese. Nor should the South Sudanese people be expected to do so. Generations of South Sudanese citizens remain trapped in a cycle of conflict, acute need, and disenfranchisement due to the lack of political will on the part of their leaders to change a system that affords them power. The most recent violence in Upper Nile State, Jonglei State, and other parts of South Sudan highlight the devastating consequences of this failure to break that cycle. As the Secretary General's August 7th report highlights, aerial bombardments and ground attacks between April 1st and July 15th have displaced 300,000 people, while escalating military operations across the country have resulted in hundreds of civilian deaths and destroyed critical infrastructure. Women and girls endure conflict-related sexual violence, and children are maimed, killed, or forcibly recruited into combat. The escalating crisis has forced over 132,000 South Sudanese to seek refuge in neighboring countries between April 1st and July 15th, further destabilizing the region and straining host nations. Mr. President, this conflict is worsening an already dire humanitarian situation. More than 70% of South Sudan's population now requires humanitarian assistance. Yet humanitarian services provided by the international community have been systematically hindered by both the most recent conflict and by decades of violence against humanitarian workers, predation, and corruption. These unilateral actions by the transitional government clearly violate the 2018 peace agreement, undermine unity, threaten to return the country to another civil war, and deprive South Sudanese people of their homes and livelihoods, and deny the country peace and prosperity. We therefore strongly urge all parties to immediately cease hostilities, release all unjustly detained political prisoners, and recommit to the principles of dialogue to prevent further violence. Lastly, Mr. President, the United States reiterates our call for the transitional government to engage in good faith dialogue with UNMISS to ensure the mission can fully implement its mandates without any hindrances or obstructions. We thank the men and women serving in UNMISS. I thank you.
Dorothy Shea made the remark while addressing the UN Security Council in New York on Monday. Let's equally, before we listen to the response from the government, let's also get more from that Caroline Kunin, who is the UK Deputy Political Coordinator at the UN Security Council meeting on South Sudan as well.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you, Assistant Secretary General Martha Poby, Chairperson George Agri Awina, and Program Director Mariti Mutiga for your briefings. It is deeply disappointing that the transitional government of South Sudan has yet to deliver the peace and stability the people of South Sudan deserve.
Thank you, President. And my
Despite
thanks to
significant
Assistant Secretary General Poby, Interim Chairperson Owino, and Mr. Mutiga for their briefings. President, I will make 3 points. Firstly, the United Kingdom remains concerned by the continued violence across South Sudan, which has led to widespread suffering. As highlighted in the Secretary General's report, military offensives and intercommunal clashes continue to devastate communities. We condemn these repeated attacks, including aerial bombardments against civilians, humanitarian workers and medical facilities. We call on South Sudan's leaders to take urgent and concrete steps to halt the violence and restore dialogue. And we urge all parties to protect civilians and comply fully with international humanitarian and human rights law. Second, President, as we have heard today, the political situation continues to deteriorate. The ongoing house arrest of First Vice President Machar undermines the core principles of the 2018 peace agreement and is a serious obstacle to reconciliation. Meanwhile, persistent reshuffles have caused further destabilisation, and government institutions are not operating as they should. The United Kingdom echoes the African Union's call for the immediate release of all political detainees, including the First Vice President. This is necessary for credible and inclusive dialogue. We also encourage renewed political engagement with regional efforts to advance peace in South Sudan. Thirdly, the United Kingdom remains deeply concerned by the ongoing acute humanitarian crisis in South Sudan, with over 7.7 million people facing severe food insecurity and a cholera outbreak that has claimed more than 1,400 lives. These conditions are being exacerbated by spillover from the conflict in Sudan and by the effects of climate change. The situation in South Sudan is a clear example of the linkages between climate, peace and security. We commend UNMISS for its tireless work in addressing these climate-related risks, as well as its broader efforts to enable the delivery of aid and protect civilians. In this respect, President, the United Kingdom calls on South Sudan's leadership to ensure safe and unhindered humanitarian access to all civilians in need, irrespective of political affiliation or ethnicity. And with respect to broader efforts to build resilience and secure lasting peace, we also urge South Sudan's leadership to take meaningful steps to address the growing impacts of climate change as a key driver of fragility and instability. I thank you.
Carol Quinin is the UK Deputy Political Coordinator at the UN Security Council meeting on South Sudan. Now, before we also take a turn and listen to that Sabino, and remember, for those who might not particularly be familiar with Sabino, Edward Nyawela serves as a country deputy permanent representative to the UN, and we will also hear more from his side as a government response to all this. But first, let's have a quick commercial break.
Life is about flavor. You gotta spice things up because there's only one Benny. It's a mission to give the people more flavor because flavor is a feeling. It transforms any meal from lunches on the go to mixes, salads and soup. You just need one envelope to bring everyone together. Benny, live with more flavor. Albonain, always at your service. For all wholesale traders, save more for your people. Wholesale food items available now. Sugar, rice, oil and more, including cars and beyond. Top quality, competitive prices. To place your order, WhatsApp 09123 03076 or 09123 06078 or visit us at Juba Airport Road. Albonain, always at your service. Don't miss out. Quantities are limited.
Attention, attention. The malaria vaccine is available in South Sudan, targeting children aged 5 to 23 months. The vaccine has been integrated into routine immunization services with 4 scheduled doses, which is highly recommended to be received at 5, 6, 7, and 18 months of age. Ensure your child receives all 4 doses for best protection and to boost their immunity. The vaccine is safe, free, and effective, significantly reducing the risk of malaria and saving lives. Even after vaccination, continue to sleep under a long-lasting insecticide-treated mosquito net every night. Remove stagnant water and clear the bush around your home to keep mosquitoes away. As part of the second phase, the vaccine will be rolled out across 52 counties of Upper Nile, Western Equatoria, Lakes, Unity, Eastern Equatoria, Jonglei State, Abyei, Rueng, and Pibor administrative areas. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health with support from WHO, UNICEF, and partners.
Itabasmale iRadio and Atakum for Junuba, Sudan.
Welcome back from the commercial break. Now it's time to get on board. That's South Sudan Church the affairs to the United Nations, who has told the UN Security Council that calls for the release of recently detained opposition leaders ignored legal procedures and could be seen as interference in the country's internal affairs. Speaking at the Security Council on Monday, Sabino Edward Nyawela, who also serves as the country's deputy permanent representative to the UN, said the detentions are not politically motivated. More in this following speech.
Allow me to congratulate Panama for the presidency of the UN Security Council for the month of August. I commend your leadership in that regard. I also acknowledge the briefers for their statements and wish to affirm that their observations and comments are well taken notice of. Mr. President, South Sudan takes note of this Security Council briefing on the situation in our country and the Secretary General's 90-day report. We would like to emphasize that we remain committed to peace, stability, and cooperation with the international community. To demonstrate that, we would like to state the following points. First, South Sudan values its partnership with the United Nations and reaffirms its readiness to continue cooperating with UNMISS to advance the peace, stability, and development in our country. In doing so, we expect that the mission will remain neutral and impartial in its reporting and activities, ensuring that all accounts reflect the full picture, including positive developments and progress made. Balanced reporting fosters trust, builds confidence, and support the spirit of cooperation between South Sudan, UNMISS, and the wider international community. Second, we underscore that South Sudan's sovereignty and independence must be respected. The recent detention of certain high-profile opposition leaders is not politically motivated. It is a matter of criminal accountability for actions directly linked to incitement of violence and engagement in unlawful activities. Calls for their release disregard the due process of law in South Sudan and risk constituting interference in our internal affairs. Third, South Sudan's success in its endeavor requires enhanced international support, not only in peace, implementation, and electoral preparations, but also in responding to the humanitarian emergencies, including economic constraints, and mitigating the negative impact of the arms embargo. These measures continue to place heavy burdens on our security sector reforms, limiting our ability to consolidate peace. Fourth, South Sudan values the continued support of IGAD, the African Union, and the United Nations. We encourage all partners to support inclusive dialogue among political leaders and to reinforce national ownership of the peace process, rather than external pressure that risk deepening divisions. Finally, South Sudan remains committed to ensuring that any obstacles, real or perceived, to UNMISS operations are addressed in good faith and without delay. We confirm that presence of any such situations could either be attributed to our efforts to ensuring safety of the mission's assets and or personnel, or they are merely due to lack of information sharing or the capacity of the individuals involved. It is never a policy of the government of the Republic of South Sudan to hinder UNMISS mandate. Mr. President, together with respect, cooperation, and a shared vision for peace, we can deliver on the promise of a stable and prosperous South Sudan.
Sabano Edward Nyawela, of course, talking to the UN Security Council members right there. Up to here, dear listener, it's your turn now to grab that cell phone and dial. That's our studio line on 091122 986 986. What's your take on this particular report? And as you have heard also from the government side, they have responded back.
For information and entertainment, stay tuned to iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
Indeed, your eye on South Sudan. First caller, iRadio.
Hello, Mr. Al-Khair.
مساء النور.
معك بانجان من COC.
مرحب.
اولا انا بسلم للمستمعين بتاع ايريدو في كل مكان.
نعم.
بسلم عليك برضه في الاستوديو والتيم اللي عامل معاك في الاستوديو. طبعا انا استمعت بس انا بدي اركز على الخطاب بتاع المندوب نائب مندوب الدائم لجنوب السودان في الامم المتحده اللي يتكلم في مجلس الامن. الكلام اللي قاله ده طبعا يعني جزء منه ما صح. هي اصلا اعتقال بتاع او عمليه بتاع الهاوس اريست لدكتور مشار في بيته. انا بعتبرها ده العمليه غير قانوني. الزول لما جاء جنوب السودان جاب الاتفاقيه يعني بنيه صافيه بالقلب مفتوح على اساس جاي جوبا عشان يجي ينفذ اتفاقيه السلام المنشطه 2018. الاتفاقيه تعاقبت والبنود الرئيسيه في اتفاقيه زي سكيورتي ارينجمنت بقى ما قاعدين ينفذوها رويدا الاتفاقيه ما ماشي تمام. واخر حاجه اعتقلوا نائب رئيس هيئه اركان دوبلم والوزير بتاع البترول فودكا والاخرين. واخر حاجه اعتقلوا دكتور مشار حوص عريس في داخل بيته. وده خطر جدا. انا بشوف الخواجات اللي قاعدين يتكلموا دائما هم عارفين على الاستقرار وسلامه جنوب السودان. الناس دول يعني الناس قاعدين في اخر بلد هناك. بس دايرين جنوب السودان لازم تستقر والمواطن بتاع جنوب السودان لازم يكون مرتاح يعني ينعم بالسلام والاستقرار. ولكن حكومتنا زي ما دايره سلام من خلال الافعال اللي قاعد يعملوا ده. لما بدأ بضرب المعسكرات بتاع ايو، لما بدأت بضرب المواطنين في ناصر وفي اولان يعني ده مثل قاعد يرسل رسائل على اساس انه ما يجيب رغبه ذاته في السلام. وده خطر. انا بشوف الكلام قالوا مندوب بتاع جنوب السودان لدى الامم المتحده كلام ما في محله. نعم جنوب السودان دوله ذات سياده وعنده استقلاليه، وفي نفس الوقت طالما جنوب السودان عضو في الامم المتحده عنده واجبات وعنده التزامات من ضمنهم حقوق يعني احترام حقوق الانسان. والالتزام بالمواثيق الدوليه. لكن اذا كان مثلا في عدم استقرار طالما عضو في الامم المتحده، الدول بقعد تناقشوا ليه البلد ما قاعد تستقر؟ ليه المواطن ما مستقر؟ ليه جنوب السودان ما قاعد تستقر فتره طويله؟ فمن حق الدول طالما جنوب السودان عضو في الامم المتحده، من حق الدول الاعضاء في مجلس الامن انه يناقش اي قضيه بخصوص جنوب السودان، لان جنوب السودان عضو في الامم المتحده. هم يقولوا طبعا عنده يعني دوله ذات سياده، دوله مستقله، لكن طالما البلد ذا مواطنين ما مرتاحين. لكن يعني الناس بتكلم في مجلس الامن الخواجات ديل من حقهم انه يسعى جنوب السودان لمواطنين ذات ما مرتاحين. حتى قانون الدولي يعني اذا كان مثلا في انتحاك بالنسبه لحقوق الانسان يعني ممكن يدخلوا السودان جنوب السودان في بند الرابع، لانه بقى في انتحاك حقوق الانسان، في اباده جماعيه، في كذا وكذا. من حق المجتمع الدولي انه يسعى جنوب السودان ليه بس قاعد ينتهك حقوق الانسان. فانا بشوف الكلام قالوا مندوب جنوب السودان في الامم المتحده كلام في محله. اعتقال بتاع دكتور مشار في بيته ده الاعتقال غير قانوني. هل الحكومه تشتغل عشان يطلق قرار بتاع دكتور مشار وين الناس تبدا في المفاوضات؟ اذا كان اتفاقيه مثلا فيها كلام فيها بعض البنود مثلا عالقه وما قدر نفذ ما الناس يقعدوا. انا بناشد الناس انه يخلي يطلق قرار دكتور مشار من معتقل بتاعه او من هاوس ارست ولو قاعد فيه حاليا. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا بانجان. نعم تبيلقى هم المتحدة ولا UN قاعد كمان بدعموا اتفاقية بتاع سلام بالذات في داخل جنوب السودان عشان كيف يمشي قدام، وبيبقى مواطن يتاسم من تجابة UN وكمان من حكومة. طب معنا ل UN شنو ويتابع معنا برضو كمان من حكومة بيضب شنو عشان سلام يمشي قدام وينفسوا، وكمان الجنوبين بيلقى حرية وجنوبين كمان بيمشي في انتخابات زي في سنة الجاي. هاي راديو.
مساء الخير. هاي راديو.
مساء النور. كشوف.
شكرا لك كثير. أنا بعيد في استوديو ويعتبر برضه ماشي من بين برنامج بتاع سانداون نقول لهم مساء الخير.
نعم.
أخي العزيز في استوديو ولكل مستمع، أعمل شكر بتاعي ليون سيكوريتي كانسل وبرضه لأعضاء بتاع المملكة المتحدة والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وعضو بتاعنا مثل جنوب السودان في مجلس الأمن، وبرضه شكرا ماشي لأرجمك ومراقبة السلام في جنوب السودان، برضه ليو ان في جنوب السودان برضه بدون شكر. أخي العزيز المخرجات بتاع الاجتماع أو التوصيات من أعضاء بتاع العالم إنه بصدق إن جنوب السودان ماشي بصورة ما تمام، وتوصياتهم كويس إنه يتم وقف الأرض وإفراج المعتقلين وانخراط في حوار سياسي وشامل. أخي العزيز نفس المخرجات ديل جاء ناس قاعد وجاء ناس شارل الافريقي وجاء مبعوث الخاص وريال ودنجا، نفس المخرجات كان توكيات ده بخلوا له حكومه هنا، لكن حكومه بخطه في الدرج ما اشتغل به. نتمنى على الاسف كلام بتاع ممثل جنوب السودان في جمعيه الامم المتحده ان جنوب السودان لازم تتوافق مع العالم. صح ان انا جزء من العالم، لكن نسمع كلام بتاع ناس اذا كان في عالم يقول بكلام انه جنوب السودان ما فيه سلام، تسمع انه جنوب السودان ما فيه سلام، تقعد بالحل بتاعه ما تقوم ولا النار اكثر من زياده. اخي العزيز حتى الان في غزو جوي للمواطنين في ناصر، ضربوا الناس وضربوا الوقار وقتلوا ابقار وقتلوا وعابوا ناس، يعني غزو الجوي الان في شغال برغم تعزيرات وتوصيات العالم ما كل شغال به. فصوت الأقل ما في داعي لمشاكل، نحن قبل ونرجع للسلام، نعمل يونيفاي فوز بتاعنا كلنا الجيش وطن الجيش ونخشوا في انتخابات. أما مسألة بتاع إنه دكتور يوم مشار عضو بتاعنا في UN Security Council، المسألة بتاع اشتغال دكتور يوم مشار مسألة جنائية، فالجنائية موجود ما في دول موصول من أقطع جنائي من ذول أقطع، فالمحكمة موجود تمشي المحكمة تمشي جازوك قال في القاعده بيقول المتهم بريء تثبت عنه. اذا كان زول مساله بتاع موضوع جنائي خلي البوليس يتم شغل بتاعه، البوليس يكون في حول البيت والبوليس يعمل تحريات، دور ذاك يكون للنيابه عامه، دور للمحكمه، ما هو ده بيقولها الامر واسعه مش المحاكم كويس، تمشي يطلع بإدانة يطلع بعقوبه خلاص. فحتى الان ما في جنائي ولا في سياسي، الناس لاحظين فلوس ثابت والدور اللي اخذته في بيته بس انه لاجل انه تنفيذ يعني مشاكل معين لا يلعب اعمال تاع الدوله ورشاوى للناس يقعد رشاوى الناس منو ينزل جاي في بينه بدون رشوه بيطلع وتهديدات بين العالم، ما في داعي للتهديد. لا نسمع صوت الناس.
شكرا جزيلا. أنا ما ده جزء من أفكار اللي بيلقى بقدر شيلو بلد بتنا قدام ويتبو معنا طبعا هم المتحدة كمان منقاد بودي دعم شديد عشان كيف اتفاقية دي ينفسوا وكمان حكومة قاد بعلا دور بتو منفعة يتبو معنا بذاب شنو وسد ريبورت اللي سما بذات من UN Security Council وكمان من حكومة 09 وايد والاثنين 2986 986. Meanwhile, you can of course share your thought with us via that's our Facebook page or call us here live by dialing our studio line 091122986986. A couple of your messages right here. W. Christopher is sending us, of course, a text message from Western Equatoria State, and that good evening, Madrama James and the listeners of iRadio, including the followers. I'm watching you live from Western Equatoria State, Yambio. iRadio.
Yes, this is John from WAP.
Welcome, John.
There is one thing I want to ask from our listeners in South Sudan, in all the 10 state and 3 administrative areas. The death of the 3 UN member crew in Nasser and the commander, do you think all South Sudanese don't need such thing to be investigated, whether in the government or in the opposition? To me, those who are calling the release of the Toriak Machar is not true. I urge even the government to take react to the rule of law, such that he can be verified. If he is free, he can be returned back to his position. This is one thing I want to.
Hey, quite unfortunate. My brother, you can still get back to us on 091122986986. What you are appealing for, it's the legal process. According to you, if indeed that happened, then all the legal procedures has to be followed. Thank you. Let me hear from this one. iRadio.
Madrama.
Yes.
Joseph calling me Lebanon Center.
Marhaba, Joseph.
مبروك لطفل أبو الناسما صار يا مدرما جي أنا جنوبين ندرين سلام.
نعم.
وانا بيكوري لسياسيين بتاعنا وناسنا تاخوما قالي أنا ما أدري أي حاجة لكن بس أنا غير سلام لأن نعرف قالي دعوة الجنوب ده بس أو سلام. حتى لو نشاكل كيف ناس حال تاجر اللي ناس جنتير وسلام ده إنه وعشان كيف بيجيبوا سلام بتعرف يا جريل يا مدامة حكومة كان دير سلام والناس كله كان دير سلام أنا كده جماعة جنبي بكورة نهار بكورة بيرل بكورة سبب بكورة ياسيا بكورة بكورة ليلة بكورة كل ما سنة وما بكورة ورانا فني ده يالتمون يامون بكورة لومون ده أبواتمون بكورة لومون ده كلامتمون بكورة لومون ما دراسما أنا مارو أنا ديجا بكورة نمنو أنا جمودين تجنو مودين تبيرت كله ديجا مرتين لكن أنا مارو أنا ديجا يتمودين ديجال أنا بكورة لكن ما باس ما كورة بتاعنا ده
تبل جديد بمعنى شنو تبكورة كيف ل كل صهبان بتاع جنوب السودان وحكومة برو الكمان في داخل جنوب السودان.
والله أندر نقول ولا ناس ناس UN ناس القادين برا ناس UN أمون لما عملوا مجاملة قالت تزور بوري في رفض أنا غير يعني na saje na UN na mon gadin mon ya musulun kalamata au of kalamta ekipagiat alin ta senta mandasa makada sare alek Allah umon kede yani mon kede sore na stickal hagiya riyak be لانه كلام الجو جنوب بيجي لا يمد اصلا دخلنا ريت جو باجينا سنين لقد اساسين تسجيل يارك في خاص عارف ودي حاجه نبوري قال يعني درد دمار سلام من فضلك لاكم مثلا نجمونين بارك عليه سلام وانا بارك عليه نفننا كدار قال لنا بينكم ان جو كان بينو بيجي جنون بكلا كلا رياض به كده انا مو سياسه كده شيلو في كود عشان يفيكو عشان بيجيني في شغل عشان بيساعدوا في افكار تا سلام في البلد ده ها وانا داير الناس كلهم يفيكو الكان في الجنوب ده عشان انا جمهوريه نبار قال سلام ده عشان كيف انت كمان تسنى الجال ده عشان كمان امون كان داير الورد روجي وانا كان موجي عشان من تكون دي هوريه يا جماعه لكن جنوب كيرين قال البلد سلام وناس نزل واتفاقيات مبورة وناس بوتو بورا قدام وقال سلام فأنا بقول ناس نا UN قال لسنو المهم تكون كده تكون يعني ما جري من بلدين لكن كنت نقول جد باكما بتاعنا عشان كيف تكون بيجيبوا سلام كده ما منو سلام ساينو فوارا كده ساينو كده ساين تاني كده سلام كده جل بيجيبوا وانا جنوبي ناكما بتاعنا mata kon yani asan mata kun kerim gala ya sorta on be tagada salam la ke ta on kede ta kon jere hin le mo nin pita kon din ita kon kan disa sela ya nan na je gal gel ten nya bilta anna yalta kon anna on pita kon de eri ta kon sa kon wara gale yomda ta espere de annes mo ni yomda sar ta kon de mon sa ta kon ba kel sa ta kon de sunu imagine Madrama game zaman espere bidagal fi Juba anna alfen khamsa nabi kore ya tannaja kelan tannaja diga numal kanan nabi num barak nabi an fi Juba dan nabi nabi num barak tarawen yom da kore kanna gali ya tannaja salam jade diga gili bugala rujal tannaja ta tannaja rujal tannaja ta tannaja sare sobra
أنا كنت رسالة أكتوالي وصل لكل الجنوبيين الغات بتابي برنامج في زمن بتاسي لكان أكون جوزيف من لبنان. We have a text coming in from Aken Deng Deng that good evening Madrama James and all the listeners of iRadio within and outside the country. Watching you live from University of Juba. iRadio.
Madrama James.
Yes, Joseph.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening.
Number one, I appreciate iRadio for this topic, and I'm also appreciating those who are participating and listeners. My brother, South Sudan is a new country in accordance to the independency, but it is full on hatred because leadership in South Sudan has been governed by the two people, by Riek Machar and Salva Kiir, and hatred involved between them until the day of fighting. And this fighting, UN and Trika and IGAD, they try to bring them together, but they are not to be together. This is honesty. They are supposed to be give choice if to give up to the people of South Sudan or to agree for the permanent agreement. Those agreements signed by Dr. Riek, President Kiir, they are not rescuing life of the people. When you talk about the account from the beginning of 2011 to 2025 today, we lost more than people who are lost. We lost them on the 21 years, to be honest. But when people bring in the
the report from the National Dialogue saying that extension may not happen. We give you this stuff. If you don't want this, you want it, you not want it, we don't want you, all of you. You leave our chair, and then we will vote for the election. Right now, people are talking for the election on 2026. Who is going to vote with this hatred? Number one, it is peace and reconciliation. After that, you bring people together, dialogue them, give them reconciliation to understand themselves. Right now, when you go to the area that you are not speaking about that language, you are rich and you are within South Sudan. It's better foreigner, okay? Better foreigner. If foreigner goes to Nasser today, it's better somebody from Western Barkazal when he goes there, or somebody from Eastern Equatoria goes to where there is a different people may be in fear. Right now, UN is trying to lead the Machar to come together in the power with President Kiir. If we avoid there as a people of South Sudan, we can demand that let these people leave fully and let our position, which is the presidency, remain back for the people of South Sudan, because they are not able to implement peace, they are not able to implement role of government if there is government. They are not able to bring people of South Sudan together, to bring them unity. What is their mission and what is their vision? Because people are trying to divide themselves for them. Why are we dividing ourselves for them? What they're doing to our people? Because this is a big question. What they do to the people of South Sudan, you are hearing many people dying every day. Many people are in suffering. Even there is no medicine in the house, in the hospital. There's no even education. Like now, when you talk about the education in South Sudan, there's no education. There's no good road. There's no good water. And these people are still there. Let us be honest here. We are members of the United Nations. Themselves is not a country of South Sudan. If the country of South Sudan, UN is supposed to think about citizens of South Sudan. They are not supposed to think about politicians of South Sudan, because they talk about doing the president and vice president. That is what they release. Their statement is very clear. They talk about these people to be released and then together to come and implementing this peace agreement. And this peace agreement may not help people of South Sudan. What we want is a lasting peace. If they are not able to implement the lasting peace, let them go. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, dear listener, if in case you have just joined us, you're listening to the Sundown Show on Radio with me, Madrama James. And now we are talking about a report submitted at the UN Security Council, where the acting U.S. representative to the United Nations has strongly criticized South Sudan leaders for failing to unify the armed forces and at the same time restricting that civic freedoms and continuing to use violence to gain or stay in power. Now, according to the government representative, Sabino Nyawela reiterated South Sudan appreciation for the continued support of IGAD, the African Union and the United Nations, particularly in facilitating dialogue among political leaders. However, he stressed the importance of reinforcing national ownership of the peace process rather than succumbing to external pressure, which he warned could deepen political division. And remember, China's deputy permanent representative to the United Nations has said South Sudan political process cannot be completed overnight, urging that the international community need to exercise tolerance and some patience with the country. Speaking during a UN Security Council meeting in New York on Monday, Louis said the international community should support regional mediation effort and allow African issues to be solved through African-led solution. Now we are asking you as a citizen, yes, the peace is somehow stuck like the representative of U.S. representative to the United Nations Security Council mentioned. But now, what should be what should be done at least for us to move forward as a country? Share your thought with us on 091122 986 986 iRadio. Get back to us right here. And you heard, of course, from the report. These humanitarian crisis. These also issues of security, incidences of security happening also. iRadio.
Hello.
Ayua.
Salam.
Aleni Manuel Panadol.
Itakois.
Mambatal.
Anna bodi sukran le rabbana.
Naam.
Himaya to bejian itu ya haja kulu rabbana mtimanna.
Naam.
UN in South Sudan, they are doing a business. UN in South Sudan needs the fighting in South Sudan to continue.
Later bonus kalamde.
Yana bikalamu. Tani ya brother. Jurub al-Hasab fi manna de. Rabbana de diga ya bar. O UN ya sabab. Junub Sudan. Ya kan nina junub kan ma join UN. Wala any international community, any sunu kan na ma join. Kan ana mutaki. South Sudan can remain independent without any association. Lakin min na dakal ras pitana UN ya bulena moskila.
Naam, yale Emmanuel Panadol enda mashakil fi bed bitaki le maaluta bulo mujaranat wusuban.
Asman na koit. Ta salam. Kan mun nas al galga hammi mader muskila kilma ja fi dawla umon je UN. Riak وصل فادين بقالي همون مشاكل تجون السودان البسيط بقالي همون ميني 200 بيقولوا قال في سلام وين سلام على البحث UN umon gija da benefiting through our minerals in South Sudan ija kanumon nasal derjabu lenina salam kwis manatu kan ما في حاجة تانية هذه المشكلة في جنوب السودان. أنا متأسف لما نمر بيقول قال يعني ساوث السودان يكلموا عن صعوبات في تومون. أمون UN أمون وين؟ ما أمون في داخل جنوب السودان بعرف كل طرقات في أي حاجة كل أمون بعرف. جنرال الدروبو بتيارة أمون الدروبو وين؟ ديناس مولي الدروبو. نفسه تيارة UN ياو General Reki Fogo woni nyulten be kan be arfi jiwa kan bisu.
Naam yala.
Kalam de kan fi muskila fi Junub Sudan.
Na yala juta majwa.
Nas ko barde le umon magabi dum.
Naam Junub bitan.
Nas omon nas de fi I thought kan when umon ba mon je mon nasa mo te de manna. Lakin ma fi ha UN jatamulo. Ma fi ya haja. Monder yatu Sudan kili semiri be masakel dulu
Emmanuel Panadol Emmanuel Panadol misalo indak mushkila sa fi ben malta bilo mu jehran bitaku wa ita baro kaman bilo mu soban bitak bedap
yala kan biga fi jwabed yani galifana fi jwabed biga yal bi tugu badono yal bi katul badono o mafi salam fi jwabed fitaye majiran alfi bagder saido ولا في تيانا بعدين كمان وقف في مشاكل في جواب فيتا لكن ومن جسوبان من ناس الجاتو كي جسلوا جنوب السودان أو من حقيقة ومن سلوا جنوب السودان أصلا ناس بيقول وناس جان وما في أي حاجة وكان قال في سلام أنا متأكد ما في ناس أنا قال بيكتب في سجن وتانين بيسجنوا تانين بيجا برا من الدولة تانين قتلوا تانين كيف يلا ده قال في سلام ده وين
Ita bumana bedap shinas and salam de yeju.
ana nafsi ana Emmanuel Fanadul ana ge mana gali salam be biyeji ma biyeji ille kan biyeji kan naz kulu diga ma fi kurisa jun Sudan de kan naz kulu wele riak wele salfa kan de munu diga ma fi rijum de diga ma fi adil yawne na biligora lakin tiyet fita jumade masakil mas kitam brada shukran
de Emmanuel Panadol nam gobal tal galo fi mushkila fi beta malo mujeran tamalo mu sabi wala suhuban take alfi bedab ma asal barita agder hilo kalam de ke fi zaman bitasi ni shilo akir mukhalama wa ninabi معليش باقي بس اتنين دقائق عشان كيف ناس بيمشي توالف يعني وين بتاكبارو في زمن بتاعسا بديك فرصة بس في 0 ولا 2 9 8 6 9 8 6 إجابة بتاعك بذاب شنو زي ريبورت تماسمو من Security Council وكمان من حكومة وعشان نينا بيمشي قدام وبلد بتنا بيندو سلام حلاقيقة تبمانا بذاب شنو آخر مخالمة هاي راديو. نعم
أنا اسمي أو حكومة ما في.
حكومة ما في من وين؟
حكومة ما في ده اسم بتاعي.
داري من وين؟
أنا في يوكرانيا. أنا بنتكلم أنا بنشارك معكم ده أول مرة. شكرا على صدقك لكن أنا بنتكلم يا جماعة يعني أنا في ساكن لا UN جا قال لي جا من تنين عشان تجيب لنا كلام. UN ما قدر يعملوا كلام ده. UN وسكر ما سلفاكير ما رياك يعني سلفاكير ما رياك هم كبارين ما UN هم كبارين ما بوب هم كبارين ما أفريقيا يونيون كان هم ما كبارين ما كان كلام ده كيلو بدو
نعم طيب
أنا بنقول أنا جنوب السودان يعني أنا أبو أجي أنا بنعمله ناس ده يسيروا برا وهم تاني بخونو كان ناس مارودو كلام ده كلي UN جا سيروني ناس أنا لقوا فراي جماعة لحد 200 لحد 200
حكومة ما في
ممكن احنا اللي بنلقوا
حكومة ما في
حكومة ما في
تنفيذ بتاع سلام ده في دين بتاع UN ولا في دين تاع جنوبين
أنا قاعد عشان راب جاموسي تنقبل قال سوليسون ده تنو عشان بجيبوا سلام بس تنقبل عشان قال تنو
نعم يلا
ما UN جيبوا هو كبير مانينا كان ناقي جدافين هو بجيبوا دنيا بكتنا بسجن ممكن هو بجا بهندل أوبا كاني ناس كساكل في البيت بوليس بيجيبوا بجيبوا دنيا كده بكتوا في جوا يلا كلام تمون بونس كلام ده عمله
نعم international community بارو بقول مشاكل بتاع جنوب السودان ولا تحكيم بتاع جنوب السودان في دين بتاع جنوبين إنت ذات بارو فوق البقول وكما
ما في مالك جيبوا UN كان فينا مالك جيبونا سبارة عشان تجاي أنا كان تجاي ما بعد
يدل جاهين كسوبان بتاع جنوب السودان
لا كلام ده غلط كان UN وشكر ما كان ما بيجيبوا من كان يا بيكبر نفسه لكن جماعة يجيبوا عشان تكسر سلام ليه يجيبوا
شكرا جزيلا دوكما ما في ولحدنا مستمعين في كل محل جينا في آخر مناقشة في زمن بتاعنا نمشي توالف أنا وين بتاع أخبار